So I wanted to show you something that was interesting happening on this tree that I had never witnessed in person. But I was coming out here to feed the birds. As you could see, that I have a lot of bird feeders hanging from this oak tree. And I started to smell booze. It smelled very boozy, very fermented. And called Sonder out here and I was like, God, it smells like somebody was drinking out here. And he looked up and we saw some of this black stuff. And if you look up further, you'll see this, I guess it's just like this foam coming out of this tree. Now it doesn't smell that fermented today, but you could actually maybe see some of the fruit flies and bees and wasps are really attracted to this. And essentially what's happened is that this tree has slime flux, which is a fun term. It's also called wet wood or bacterial wet wood. And this tree has always gone through some stuff. I mean, recently it had the spongy moths, but you'll see that it has a lot of holes here from sapsuckers. So sapsuckers will come and just basically hollow out some holes around here. And I'm always noticing bees and flies and hummingbirds literally taking some of the sweet sap out of this oak tree. So I think what happened recently is that we had a few hot days and a few wet days, and the bacteria or the fungus, the yeast, may have gotten into the tree from some of those sapsucker wounds and started to ferment the tissues and the sugars in the sap in the tree. And sometimes you would even hear this coming out and hissing because it's bubbling and fermenting so much. And this was actually bubbling down here too. And what happens is it dries and creates this black, film on the tree, essentially just kind of drying up. It can hurt the tree over time. I mean, it's not the healthiest thing for it, but in some cases it's just a cosmetic thing. However, I don't know if I could get the camera all the way up there, but on the tops of this tree, it's got a lot of sapsucker holes. I mean, the whole tree, especially up top, is riddled with sapsucker holes. So I'm hoping this tree makes it. I mean, oaks are in general pretty tough trees, and this is actually a special oak. So you'll see it's a type of white oak variety, but I can't tell you what type of species of white oak this is. This was a present from Liberty Hyde Bailey Hortorium, and it was planted here. So it's a pretty special tree. So there's not much else that we could do as far as dealing with slime flux. I think the key thing is to be as preventative as possible. But in the case of sapsuckers on the tree, it's very hard to deal with. Now there is a possibility that some of the roots got damaged, and that's another entry point for the bacteria and the fungi to get up here and to basically ferment the saps and the tissues of the tree. But I think in this case, it's just so riddled with sapsucker holes. And I'm not sure if there was just some disease agent with this in this tree for a while and it's been kind of going downhill. I mean, what we've seen is that this tree has been going through some health issues in the short period of time that we had here. Namely, it was defoliated twice. So it's probably undergoing quite a lot of stress. I mean, it was defoliated twice because of the spongy moths. So, and then we had a drought when we were here as well. So yeah, something to take into consideration. And of course, if you ever smell booze or fermented stuff around a tree, not just an oak, I mean, this happens in elms and willows and other species as well. So if you see it and you smell it, then you probably know that it's slime flux.